easiest way to get into the
Today we have Josh Tippold of Integrating Presence. My name is David Hults of the Alternative Life Guide, and we're here to talk about a myriad of subjects, including crystals, empowerment, and we're going to start off with a real base point of things that should be public knowledge.
Yeah, we're just in David's backyard, the 2nd of December. Yep, 2020, and it's a little chilly out, but the sun's shining and whatnot. And I think the main thing we got here to get the conversation going is David's recent trip to Arkansas.
Yeah.
We're both into really similar subjects. One thing we connect on and we can show today is Arkansas quartz crystals from Arkansas. So I haven't really heard, I just heard a little bit about David's trip. Maybe that might be a good place to start.
Yeah. Northern Arkansas and southern Missouri have a very large quartz deposit underneath the whole area, which lends a little bit to its mystique in the Ozark Mountains. We went specifically to Ron Coleman's mine and had a good tour and learned about how they mine the quartz and things like that. Got to drive around the place, but then they allow you to go mine or sift through all the stuff that they bring out of the mine and kind of dump in a pile to the side. So while they definitely collect all of the really big, very nice, clean, pure, clear quartz for sale to collectors and things like that, they definitely leave a lot of the more milky quartz, golden quartz, things like that in the ground. So we were able to go with the kids and really enjoy ourselves for a bit, scraping through the red earth and finding a lot of different pieces, large, small, and in between.
Very cool. And, I gave David some stuff that I found at Ron Coleman's brother's, Jimmy Coleman's mine when I went down there. I think it was last year, and gave him a bigger piece to have camp out here and a bunch of smaller pieces I wasn't doing anything with. And well, David, what are you going to do with some of this quartz? And then that'll tie into like some of the work you're doing with it. Right?
So this is what I call a orgonite-ish resonance art. It's in the theory of orgonite, which is essentially a construct that harnesses the orgone energy of the environment. The orgone energy of the environment is what the Chinese and Asian people refer to as qi or ki. The Star Wars group refers to it as the Force. Native American culture refers to it as the Great Spirit. People call it God, creation, all kinds of things. But there is something more to this blank space that we are all in. And I believe that it's not just a belief. The science that I've been learning in this 21st century really has started to back up the concept that everything is waveform. Even the most solid of objects is still molecular structures vibrating against each other at a certain rate of speed. And the interesting thing about that is that it becomes solid, like the coffee cup in our hands, but at the same time, if you had the electron microscope, you could just see straight through this.
There's so many different aspects to this. People can connect on the energetic level of this, that people can connect on the scientific level, or even just the aesthetic level, you know, how it looked. In the science level for all this is the geologist crowd as well, and how everything's molecularly formed, and how their theories on how it formed over eons or less than that, you know, what kind of material and conditions were around to form this type of thing, and then you get the energetic people who are kind of like sensitive to energy. One really easy example for people who aren't even energetically sensitive is if you hear these big crystal caverns like in Mexico, right, where you have to have these special suits because you can only be in there so long. It's because people like start sweating, or I forget what exactly happens, but
I've heard of the caverns.
Yes. Well, maybe I'm getting that wrong, but I thought there were certain precautions around this. So if you just put so much in one space, it's probably going to be a little bit more obvious to people. Just like some people can notice certain crystals and not other ones. aesthetic, I mean, like jewelry has been made out of these type of things, and pieces like David's work here. I mean, just because they look nice, you know, they look pleasing, and yeah. So jewelry.
If you want to be down there for more than half an hour, I mean, the radio frequency transmitted through that might have something to do with it.
Could be. That would be something good to look up. And of course, all of our electronic devices have tiny quartz crystals in them as well.
The neat part about it is that right now we're discovering how some people are more sensitive to various electromagnetic frequencies and waveforms, and all of this is very specific to the individual. So don't dismiss it because you don't feel it. Other people may feel it 10 times more than you could ever imagine, and it's very painful. I think that we can create a new realm of technology applications that mitigate the EMF field, and not just the stuff that they are making right now, which there's a whole lot of cool technology, but I'm talking about just adapting the things that we have. For instance, the EMF radiation from the cell phones that we carry, while they continually try to reduce this because they do acknowledge now that it can be harmful to some people's health. I think that it's an idea like, let's integrate black tourmaline in the chipset, you know, and right now we just have that silicone board that everything gets wired to, but what if we lace it with black tourmaline? With the industrial capabilities on the planet, we can take the dust of these things, which vibrates in the same harmonic resonance as a baseball-sized chunk. We can integrate the dust of these minerals throughout the equipment, and perhaps that would kind of reduce the size of the wave spike.
Some of these the EMF emissions are more in square waves.
Right.
Our saw wave. Sawtooth, right? Thank you. That's the right word. And then this helps, I guess, round it off a little bit.
More of the sine curve.
Yes. I'm not 100% sure on that or how that works. You know, even just regular technology, instead of Wi-Fi, instead of radio waves, they're using light waves. I don't know if they're infrared or what. It's not a really popular technology, but I think it exists.
I think satellite broadcasting is either there already or it is moving towards that. I know that they have made great advances in light technology as far as how they perceive the spectrum, how they are utilizing the whole spectrum. And so it would not surprise me if they were transmitting data in light package. Okay, so these are all the large pieces that I pulled out of the ground.
This is the point in the video where dogs started barking very loudly and airplanes flying over. And due to the zoom settings we use, the audio for this portion is pretty much unusable.
Hey, while we're talking about the crystals specifically, let's move over to the other table and look at all the small pieces. Okay, so all of this little stuff is the things that we pulled out of the ground from Ron Coleman's, except for the things that are not quartz, obviously. These are some of the better pieces that I actually pulled out of the ground right down here. This has got a very fun little point on it growing out there.
Super clear point right there too.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate this teeny tiny little outcropping there. Yep. And look at that, I can zoom. Yeah, so it's so fun to see the microscopic and the macro,
Yes.
as we saw over there. We got the Druzy quartz out of the ground. We were walking in the woods around Bonne Terre, Missouri. I tend to think that nature kind of has it displayed for me sometimes, because the Jeep trail that we were walking down, obviously people have been driving down it for the entire hunting season this year, and nobody saw the big swath of Druzy quartz in the middle, you know, or at least they don't care about it.
Piece of orgonite-like creation.
So you asked what I'm going to do with these things. All of the quartz is over here, and then I shopped in the Ron Coleman rock shop that they have there. This is blue calcite. It's one of the neatest pieces that I've seen. So blue calcite, red calcite. This is rose quartz. This is yellow calcite or golden calcite. Over here, this is all amazonite.
Wow, it's big pieces.
Labradorite, black tourmaline, This is sodalite. And what I love about sodalite is it is this close to lapis lazuli. It just does not have the same pyrite composition.
Huh.
And what's interesting about it is the density of the rock in order to crush is so much easier to, sodalite is so much easier to work with and to shape than the lapis lazuli.
Huh.
Because I think it is the iron pyrite content of the lapis that makes it that much more dense. But I have tried to break both up, and the lapis just breaks the pieces. Like it hasn't broken the hammer, but it sure wants to. So that's a fun experiment, just trying to play with the densities of rock and figure out the rock crushing aspects. Because all in all, I do want to create more pieces like this. And this is just a piece of shungite cast in epoxy resin. But again, the piezoelectric qualities of this, what I like about the epoxy resin to create artworks is that while I am experimenting with orgonite concepts, the layers of metal and then crystal and metal and crystal, in order to channel energy in a certain way to produce a certain effect, perhaps, it acts as resonance artwork, even if it doesn't officially qualify as orgonite. But more importantly, the piezoelectric quality of everything is really why this works, because when the epoxy resin dries, it goes in as a liquid, and this is any kind of resin. When it dries, it squeezes. So essentially, think of this rock emanating all of its good vibrations and things like that, but then having somebody squeeze it like a sponge, you know, and really enhances that energetic projection. That's kind of the idea that I'm going for.
Well, right on. Yeah, people talk about just crystals in general, attracting energy, storing energy, and then emitting energy.
Right.
Yes, it's so energy is kind of like that term probably needs to be broken down.